I'm Ryan Razooky out of San Diego, California. I'm the owner here at the Hoop House, and I'm more than just a trainer. How I got involved with hoops is I was playing since I was really young, about 5 years old, and playing for, throughout my whole life. And my brother actually ended up playing club ball for the first time when he was about 11 or 12 years old. And so I started coaching alongside his coach, who was Jordan Lawley at the time, and is now also an NBA skills trainer. So I coached along him and was just helping out the boys. And as he continued to move on with his career and he left, I went and took over that program and kept them until I turned about 18 and until they got into high school. I went on to take some of those boys on as I was studying and just do some private training with a few of them. Held on to them for a long time. Guys like Yassine Duran, Christian Rose, a lot of players in the city here that I've worked with for a long time. And then slowly, just surely, every single day, building and building and building and helping those players. It brought more and more players to want to work with me, and they've all continued to develop since then. So as far as girls go, Tihina Papau was actually one of the first girls that I got to work with. Again, I was super young, she was young. We were hosting a camp with Gannon Baker here in San Diego. So we brought Gannon, we brought Jordan, and we brought Cody Topper, who was with many NBA teams and now with Memphis, with Boogie, right? Pretty cool to have all these connections. So I got to work with Tihina. She was like the first girl I worked with at like 5, 6 a.m. in the morning. She goes hard, I loved it. You can see a lot of promise and future with her. And she continued to get better. We hosted a lot of camps, and then from there we picked up a lot of girls, and now we probably have about 30 or so girls that we work with, and a lot of them some of the top in the country. The reason why I care so much about the youth is because there's a really big lack of teaching in the youth basketball, and all the best coaches end up teaching professional levels and college levels, and the youth who need some of the best coaching are getting some of the worst coaching, unfortunately. A lot of times volunteers, which we're more than happy to have volunteers, and we love the fact that people are giving and donating their time, but we want to make sure that the kids are growing up with a strong foundation and good fundamentals. So I focus a lot on the youth to make sure that they're able to build those strong structures and continue to develop, whether it be just basketball or work ethic, to continue to grow. So I know I focus on the youth because their development happens so differently and so drastically, and it's important for them to build those strong cultures at a young age. Yeah, it's super important for us to make sure that every kid that walks in here is having a good day, or at least having a good hour when they get here, because you never know what's going on in their life. A lot of kids, and I talk to my other trainers about this, you have a percentage of kids that you work with that are basketball specific players, and their goal is simply to get a contract or a scholarship, and you're also going to have a lot of kids that you work with who aren't at that level mentally or physically, or don't even aspire to be a basketball player one day, but they're here as an extracurricular. And so no matter what the goal is of the kid, we just want to make sure that they're, one, improving, right? Because that's going to develop into many different things in life. And two, that they're having a really good time and enjoying what they're doing. Because like I said, you never know what they're going through. You never know what's going on. And you want to make sure that they want to be here when they're here. And that way their learning becomes a lot easier, of course. So as far as me working with some of the top players, in the country or the world, etc., we ran basketball camps, and I would bring Gannon Baker and Jordan and Cody, Devin Williams, Drew Hanlon. I brought a lot of guys to come run camps here because I know many kids wouldn't have the opportunities to train with them unless I brought them here. So I did that. And then from there, those guys were able to see what I was capable of. And Cody, who was one of the guys who mentored me, he introduced me to Johnny O'Bryant, who played for the Hornets, the Wizards, the Bucks, a few other teams, Denver. And he said, hey, Johnny's going to be in San Diego. I want to connect you guys, want him to work with you. And that was the first time I had a chance to work with an NBA player. So Johnny loved the workout. We connected. I've been working together for 5, 6 years now. I spent a summer in Charlotte with him, spent some time in Israel with him. And he connected me with a lot of other NBA guys, overseas guys, G League guys. Mark Ogden, who didn't play very much at all in high school. I've been working with him for a long time. He just got to go to the Atlanta bubble. He played with their G League team with the Hawks, and now he's in Germany. But a lot of these guys have just been long relationships that we've built for a long time. And then recently, as you know, with the whole pandemic going on, a lot of players have reached out about getting in here and just being able to have an opportunity and a chance to work, and we're very happy to be able to provide that for them. In regards to the pandemic, when it first occurred, my first initial thought was, one, of course, let's make sure everybody's safe, and let me cut back on a lot of things. So I did. We closed all of our classes, and I ran maybe 1 or 2 workouts. And then, of course, from there was kind of strategizing what is going on, because no one knew, right? And what I'm supposed to do with my business, and how am I supposed to figure things out. But one of the first things I did was just reach out to content creators, and I said, hey, I know this is what you guys do for a living. You make basketball content, a lot of these YouTube guys. I said, if you need a place, let me know. I'm more than happy to help to provide.
Hey, man, we just touched down in San Diego, man. San Diego FTC members, man, stand up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I just put up to San Diego right now, man. I'm about to hit up R2 to come out and get me, bro. and we about to make it lit, man.
And I knew that it'd be kind of a win-win for all of us. So Flight was one of the first people to reach back out. He wanted to come out and work on his game a little bit and improve for the whole June thing that was going on. So more than just the YouTube side, I learned a lot about business. I learned a lot about their world and their structure and how their social media works, and a lot of the money that comes along with it too. So that was amazing to build that business. Aside from that, as far as guys, like a lot of the San Ysidro guys and some of the G League guys that we've had, Mikey had come in one day with his father, and he asked if his dad could work them out. Him and Marvin, his younger brother. So their dad was putting them through a workout, and Mikey had asked if he could go through some different kind of drills. And I told Malon, I said, hey, if you'd be interested, I'd have no problem putting him through some workouts. He goes, yeah, of course. So I put him through a couple of drills. They loved it, and Malon just walked away. And for me, that was a huge sign of respect that their father could just trust me with their workouts. So I was able to run their workouts. And then again, he said, the next day, would you mind if we came back with our dad? I said, of course, that's not a problem. You're one of the top players in the whole country, and I'm happy to be able to provide a place for you to come work out. So he came again, and he asked, what are we doing today? So from then on, it was a very simple relationship of just, okay, I'm going to come in, I'm going to work out whatever Ryan wants me to do, I'm going to go through it. We would communicate on the things he needed to work on, and then he would start bringing his boys, and Bryce Griggs was an amazing player to have with him, Quentin Webb and Jurian Dixon and Manny Duaney and all the guys that would come from that team. And then of course, even Nate Robinson would come in, and he brought his boys, and just all the people that would come along to work out in that time. It was awesome to provide for them, Jiggy Izzy, and to give them top quality training and allow them to be able to work and continue to hone their craft even during a pandemic when a lot of people were, had no opportunity. Yeah, it's kind of interesting as far as race goes, and of course the social justice system and everything going on in the world right now. And we both know it was kind of at its height a few months back. And when it was at its peak, I would speak to the players before, after the classes, hey, listen, if anybody wants to speak, if anybody wants to talk, you go ahead and pull me aside, and I'm more than happy to do that with you. But just let it be known that when you are in here, of course, one, be safe, wash your hands, sanitize, etc. But two, let's make sure that it's a good and healthy environment mentally for everybody to work out, to get better, and to show love and appreciation for all our brothers and sisters, no matter what. Like, that's one of the coolest things about being a gym owner instead of being a trainer, is when people walk in here, there's a certain vibe, there's a certain aura that you're able to create. And so when they do walk in here, we have almost never seen any sort of, hatred towards one another. There's of course some competitive fire often, but the kids just love being here. It's smiles, it's laughter, whether you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, whether you're a boy, whether you're a girl, or something in between, it doesn't really matter. But the players enjoyed coming here and working out, and we never had an issue with that. Granted, it is still something that has to be brought up and talked about, so we would address it a little bit, but for the most part, the players didn't really have too much to say, or maybe they didn't want to share, between the groups. So I let them know if there's anything they need. I'm here for them. I'm the wrestler for them to talk to and a resource, me, my trainers, and any of our staff. So it is a touchy subject, but it's important to make sure that the world continues to move forward. Yeah, so the biggest thing since I was young was just a simple goal, right? It was just to help and impact the most people positively. That was it. That was the goal, no matter how that happened. Of course, to be financially stable and to be able to do awesome things in this world, etc. So now we work with over 200 players, and I have 3 trainers that work with me. So for me to be able to help all those players and those trainers be able to provide for each other and themselves is amazing. Next, I want to be able to open up another gym. I want to be able to run camps in different parts of the world. And just how I brought trainers here to work with the players here, I would love to give access to players elsewhere to be able to work with me and to get some knowledge and to work with other trainers, to help more trainers, to help more players, to help more coaches, to really focus like a ton on the youth. That's my number one goal, is to focus and just give more and more and more to the youth, because at the youth level, unfortunately, basketball is not structured very well for their development. Secondly, I want to be able to do more online platforms and be able to help people online, because we won't be able to have access to everybody, but a lot of people have access to the internet or their phone. And so if I'm able to have multiple gyms, or I'm able to go out to different countries and states and places and run multiple camps, or at least be able to have online platforms like my Zoom workouts, like my shooting programs and things like that, at that point I'm able to help the most amount of people possible. I'm able to help trainers build their business, I'm able to help players with their business, and I do want to help more players go pro, of course. That's another thing that we want to do. But like we said, a majority of the players that we work with have different goals and aspirations, and you know, only a small percentage of them will go pro. So if we can at least help them just to be successful in life, that's more likely than to help them be professional basketball players. It's funny, let's see, maybe as far as like me hooping, I haven't really hooped too much in like the past 2 years, because since I opened this place about 1.5 years ago, I've been so focused on training, and especially when I did open it, I was training 15 hours a day and just training all day. And I would go home, I would be like eating, I'd train, and go home and just sleep, wake up the next day and then train, eat, sleep, and that was it. So I hadn't hooped in a long time, and then I did hoop against like Devin Williams, who's a great friend of mine and one of my favorite people, right? He texts me all the time, we talk back and forth. And actually the only person who I had played with before was Dominic. So I'm playing a little bit, this and that, but just very, very little. So I played Dev, and then I was like, dang, I'm really, really out of it right now. And so thankfully I've been able to get back into hooping and, you know, improve my game a little bit, but really I haven't hooped so much, maybe once or twice a week, just because I'm so focused on training. But I would love to be able to open up more opportunities to allow myself to continue to compete and play and do those things, because it's fun, and I love hoops so much that it brings that love back, and I learn new things when I play also that I can go ahead and teach, or it inspires me to teach a new thing or to see a new action that I forgot about. So I love to hoop, and I'd love to get back to doing it more. I am more than just a trainer.